Hey there design cutters, Renee back with an Illustrator-based tutorial for a tattoo shop poster. We'll create our layout using vintage illustrations, hand-drawn ornaments, textures, and grunge elements. We'll learn how to use mask, blend modes, and tons of layering. Follow along by downloading the freebie pack at designcuts.com. This huge freebie pack includes vector elements courtesy of GearWright, Ghostly Pixels, Killy, Swedish Points, The Artifacts Forge, and Vector Bakery. Open Illustrator and go to File New. Name your file. Then enter a width of 18 inches and a height of 24 inches. Under Bleed, make sure the link icon on the far right is selected to apply our input to all four sides and enter a top bleed of 0.125 inches. Then click OK to create the document. At the bottom of the Layers palette, double-click the name of the layer and change it to Background. Open your color palette and enter a black value of 10%. Select the Rectangle tool, click once on the artboard. In the dialog box, enter a width of 18.25 inches, which is 18 inches plus 0.125 inches bleed on each side, and a height of 24.25 inches, then click OK. To center the rectangle on the artboard, open your Align palette and select the icons for Horizontal Align Center and Vertical Align Center. If nothing happens when you click the Align icons, you may need to change your Align To settings. In the Freebies folder, navigate to the ginormous grunge Frames 3B file from Swedish Points. Open the file in Illustrator. With your selection tool, select the frame, press Command-C to copy, and then in the main layout file, press Command-V to paste. In the color palette, change the CMYK values of the fill color to 00820. Open your transparency palette and change the blending mode to multiply. Now click and drag the corner handles on the frame to enlarge it until it's the same size as the artboard with bleeds. And then we'll align using the Align icons. Now lock this layer. Open the Layers palette, click the space between the eye icon and the layer name to lock it. At the bottom of the Layers palette, click the Create New Layer icon. Double-click the layer name and rename it Grunge Overlay. We're going to repeat the same process of making a grungy frame, but this one will always sit on top. In the Freebies folder, navigate to the ginormous grunge Frames 4A file from Swedish Points. Open an Illustrator, select the frame, press Command-C to copy, and then in the main layout file, press Command-V to paste. Change the CMYK values of the fill color to 00820, and in the transparency palette, change the blending mode to multiply. Click and drag the corner handles on the frame to enlarge it until it's the same size as the artboard. And now you can lock this layer. Click once on the background layer, then click the Create New Layer icon. This should create a new layer between the background layer and grunge overlay layer. Double-click the layer name and change it to Card Elements. Select the Rectangle tool. Click once on the artboard. In the pop-up, enter a width of 13 inches and a height of 19 inches, then click OK. Center the rectangle on the artboard using Horizontal Align Center and Vertical Align Center in the Align palette. Open your Gradient palette. Next to Type, select Radial. Click on the white arrow on the far left side of the gradient slider. In your color palette, click on the top right arrow to access the flyout menu and choose CMYK. Then enter CMYK values of 77, 87, 47, 52. Now click on the black arrow on the far right of the gradient slider. In your color palette, click on the top right arrow to access the flyout menu and choose CMYK, Then enter CMYK values of 82, 75, 60, 80. In the gradient palette, next to aspect ratio, enter 150%. Click on the diamond in the middle of the gradient slider, and next to location, enter 75%. In the Freebies folder, navigate to the Vintage Vector Frames Frame 13 file. Open the file and with your selection tool select the frame, press Command-C to copy, and in the main layout file press Command-V to paste. In the color palette, change the CMYK values of the fill color to 85, 80, 45, 45. At the top of the artboard, make sure the link icon between width and height is turned on, and then next to width, enter 16.5 inches and press Enter. Use horizontal align center and vertical align center to center the shape on the artboard. Now we'll mask the ornamental shape so it's only visible within the purple rectangle. Select the purple rectangle and press Command-C to copy. Press Command-F to paste in place. Hold Shift and select the ornamental shape. Then press Command-7 to create the mask. In the Freebies folder, navigate to the Ginormous Grunge Frames 1B file from Swedish Points. Select the frame, press Command-C to copy, and then paste it into the main layout file with Command-V. In the color palette, change the CMYK values of the fill color to 00030. You can also find a swatch of 30% black in the swatches palette. In the transparency palette, change the blending mode from normal to multiply. Then we'll use the corner handles to increase the size until it fits just inside the purple rectangle. In the Freebies folder, navigate to the Tattoo Art Card Stars file from the Artifacts Forge. Open the file in Illustrator. Select your Group Selection tool. It's the white arrow with a plus sign that's available on the flyout menu of the Direct Selection tool on the toolbar. Click once on the A in the top left of the playing card. If you click on the fill area of the letter, it'll select the entire letter. If you click just on one of the edges, you'll have to click twice to select the entire letter, since it's made up of two paths. Hold Shift and select the club under the A, then press Command-C to copy. Go back to your main layout file and press Command-V to paste. Group the A and club together by pressing Command-G. At the top of the artboard, enter a height of 3 inches and press Enter. Position the A and club group in the top left corner of the artboard. Now select your pen tool. Click once about an inch below the club to create your first point. Then hold Shift and click again at the bottom left corner of the artboard. We want to have our lines centered in the white area between the purple rectangle and the edge of the artboard. For the last point, continue to hold Shift and click in the bottom right of the artboard, about an inch to the left of where the purple rectangle ends. At the bottom of the toolbar, click the arrow at the top right of the color swatch to swap the fill and stroke, giving us a black stroke with no fill. Open your stroke palette. Increase your weight to 4 point, and next to Profile, select Width Profile 2. Go back to the Freebies file from the Artifacts Forge. This time, use your Group Selection tool to click twice on one of the small dots that dust the bottom left corner of the card. Clicking twice on one dot will select all of that group. Press Command-C to copy, then paste into the main layout using Command-V. Then press Command-G to group the dots together. At the top of the artboard, change the height to 13.5 inches. Position in the bottom left corner of the artboard so it follows the same rough path as the lines we made earlier. Back in the file from the Artifacts Forge, use your regular selection tool to copy the little cluster of dots with a tiny star. Paste them into the main layout file and position at the bottom left corner of the artboard. Hold Shift and use your selection tool to select the A in Club, the line we drew with the pen tool, the dots, and the star cluster. Press Command G to group them together. Go to Object, Transform, Rotate, and in the pop-up box enter 180 degrees and select Copy. Position the copied elements in the same relative position on the right side of the artboard. In the Layers palette, lock the Card Elements layer. Click the Create a New Layer icon, and double-click the layer name and change it to Skeleton and Frame. In the Freebies folder, open the GearWrite file. Select the skeleton and press Command-C to copy. Paste it into the main layout file using Command-V. To make it easier to see what we're doing, we're going to just drag that skeleton off to the left of the artboard. Now we'll use our Group Selection tool to select the words and dotted lines, then delete them. When you can, drag across sections of letters to select more than one at a time. At some points, though, you'll just have to select one little piece at a time and delete it. If you select something you don't want to delete, just press Shift and click it again to deselect it. Any sections of the dotted lines that are part of the skeleton can be left alone. The style of this illustration lets us get away with a lot, so we can be a little bit messy with our cleanup efforts. Gradually work your way around the skeleton, deleting words and dotted lines until you're left with just the skeleton. And don't forget the word on the sternum. Use your regular selection tool to select the entire skeleton. At the top of the artboard, change the height to 21.5 inches. Position the skeleton just left of center on the artboard so the skeleton's thumb is just falling off the left edge and his skull peeks off the top of the purple rectangle. The next step is to fill in the skeleton, and it can get a little bit tedious, but we'll take a bit of a shortcut to speed up the process. Select your Group Selection tool, and then select the most complete outer path of the skeleton that you can find. In this case, it's that outside path along the right armpit. Press Command-C to copy, click off the skeleton in an empty space, then press Command-F to paste in place. In the color palette, change the fill color to 00020. This is a good starting point for our skeleton filler color. With this piece still selected, select your Blob Brush tool. To change the size of the blob brush on the fly, click the left and right bracket keys on your keyboard. Begin clicking and dragging to fill in the missing areas behind the skeleton outline. Focus on the head, arms, ribcage, and legs. The spine and pelvic bone areas won't be visible, so you don't need to spend a lot of time on those. Again, with the style of this illustration, we can get away with being pretty messy. Use your regular selection tool to select the gray skeleton filler color we just created. Press Command left bracket to send it behind the skeleton outline. If you need to do cleanup, select the gray skeleton filler color, then use your eraser tool to delete any areas you don't want. In the Freebies folder, open the Vector Bakery file. Select the shape and press Command-C to copy, then paste it into the main layout with Command-V. In the Swatches palette, change the fill color to black. At the top of the artboard, enter a width of 12.5 inches and press Enter. Go to Object, Path, Offset Path. In the pop-up box, enter an offset of -0.5 inches and click OK. Press Command-C to copy the new shape, then press Delete. Next, press Command-F to paste in place. This separates the offset frame from the original, otherwise they'll be grouped together automatically. In your color palette, enter CMYK values of 27, 100, 130. Now we're going to make it appear that our skeleton's hand is in front of the shape while his body is behind it. There are multiple ways to accomplish this, but we're going to go with the one that doesn't require us to duplicate the complicated skeleton vector that would increase the file size. Hold Shift and select both the red and black frames. Press Command-C to copy them, then press Shift Command left bracket to send them behind the skeleton. Press Command-F to paste the copies in place above the skeleton. Select your rectangle tool. Draw a rectangle that covers the right side of the shapes. Press Command-C to copy the shape. We'll use a copy of it in the next step. With the rectangle still selected, hold Shift and also select the red frame shape. Now open your Pathfinder palette. Click the second icon under Shape Modes, -front. Press Command-F to paste the rectangle shape in place again. Hold Shift and select the black frame shape, then press the -front icon in the Pathfinder palette. This brings the black frame to the front, so just press Command left bracket to send it behind the red half shape. Next up, we'll add a little grunge texture, but this time we'll make the grungy part brighter instead of darker. In the Freebies folder, open Swedish Point's Ginormous Grunge Stains 5D. Select the stain, copy using Command-C, and paste into the main layout using Command-V. Use the corner handles to drag out the edges to almost fill the red shape. Don't worry about keeping the aspect ratio intact, just stretch it out to fill the space. Open the color palette and enter CMYK values of 0, 100, 90, 27. Next, we'll mask the red stain so it stays within the confines of the red frame shape. Use your regular selection tool to select the original red frame shape and press Command-C to copy. Press Command-F to paste in place. Hold Shift and select a visible piece of the bright red stain. With both selected, press Command-7 to create your mask. In the Freebies folder, open 210 Big Vintage Set Banner Ornaments. Press Command-A to select all and Command-C to copy. Then in the layout file, press Command-V to paste. In the Swatches palette, change the fill color to black. Select the banner. At the top of the artboard, change the width to 10.8 inches and press Enter. Hold Shift and drag it straight down to the bottom of the red frame shape. Now switch to your Group Selection tool. Click once to select the outermost edge of the banner vector. Press Command-C to copy, then click an empty space to deselect and press Command-F to paste in place. In the color palette, change the CMYK values to 0, 50, 100, 0. Then press Command left bracket 3 times to send the fill behind the original vector. Now select the top small ornament. At the top of the artboard, change the width to 1.5 inches and position it at the bottom of the red area, just above the yellow banner. Next, we'll select the longer curly ornament. At the top of the artboard, increase the width to 4.25 inches. Position toward the top of the red frame. It looks an awful lot like a mustache, so we're going to rotate that. Go to Object, Transform, Rotate, and enter 180 degrees in the pop-up, then press OK. In the Freebies folder, open the file in the folder from the Artifacts Forge. Copy the nautical star and paste it into the main layout file. Go to Object, Transform, Rotate, and enter a rotation of 15 degrees, then press OK. At the top of the artboard, decrease the width to 1.25 inches. Then position the star on top of the longer ornament at the top of the red frame shape. Use your Group Selection tool to select the outermost path of the star, press Command-C to copy, then deselect by clicking off the artboard in an empty space, then press Command-F to paste in place. In the color palette, change the CMYK value to 050 100 0. Then press Command left bracket to send the fill behind the star vector. Then we'll change our star fill color to 100% black. I'll just make a few adjustments to the positioning here. In the Layers palette, lock the skeleton and frame layer. Create a new layer and name it Text. Select your Type tool and click once at the top right of the artboard. Type World Famous, Tattoo, and Body Piercing. In your color palette, change the fill color to 050 100 0, which is also a default swatch in the Swatches palette. Open your character palette and change the font to a tattoo style font. I'm using Fontbox Jolly Sailor at 60 point, but there are a ton of free tattoo style fonts available at your favorite font site if you don't have this one. With your Type tool, click once at the bottom right of the poster. Type 137 North Cam Avenue, Dallas, Texas. Open noon to midnight, 7 days a week. Appointments preferred. Then a space, and we'll add a phone number and a web address. This time we'll make the fill color white. I'm continuing to use Fontbox Jolly Sailor, but at a much smaller size of 24 point. And then I'm going to go to my paragraph palette and select Align Right. This will live in the bottom right corner of the poster. One more tiny detail that will bring a surprising amount of authenticity to this poster is a copyright date. Click once on the artboard and type 2016designcuts.com. If you're on a Mac, you can type Option G to get a copyright symbol before 2016. I'm going to use a handwritten font, Canvas Text Sans, at 14 point. Any simple or handwritten font will work, just keep it small. Since I'm on a PC, I'm going to use my glyphs palette to access the copyright symbol. Switch to your selection tool, hold Shift, and use the corner handles to rotate the text 90 degrees to the left. I'm also going to access the flyout menu on the character palette to change my letters to all caps. Position just outside the bottom left of the purple rectangle. Select your type tool and click in the middle of the yellow banner. Type Dallas, Texas. In the character palette, change your font to Apothic Regular at 30 point. We used the same free font on our treasure map tutorial a couple of months ago, so you may have it already. In the paragraph palette, set to Align Center. Go to Effect, Warp, Arc. In the dialog box, select Horizontal and set the bend to -10%, then press OK. Vertically center the words in the yellow banner using the arrow keys on your keyboard. Now for our shop name. With your type tool, click once in the red frame shape and type Big Nicks. I'm using a free font called Sailor Larry. We'll start by setting Big Nicks in Sailor Larry Fancy at 180 point. Unfortunately, this font does not include an apostrophe, so we'll continue to use Apothic for the apostrophe at the same size, 180 point. Position this toward the mid-top of the red frame shape. In the character palette, set your tracking, the space between the letters, to -52. Then use the Type tool to select the K. Press Option and then the left arrow on your keyboard to reduce the tracking further to about -172. Now use your selection tool to select Big Nicks and press Command-C to copy. Press Command-F to paste in place. Change this one to Sailor Larry Fade, still at the same size and still using Apothic for the apostrophe. In the color palette, change the fill color to 050 100 0. Press Command left bracket to send it behind the black text. With your type tool, click below Big Nicks and type Tattoo Parlor. We'll use Apothic at 88 point and make sure to change your tracking back to 0. Change the fill color to 00020 and center below Big Nicks. The space between the words is a bit much, so select it with your type tool and press Option left arrow a few times to reduce the tracking. Now we'll just add a few more grunge elements so the text doesn't look too clean compared to the rest of the poster. In the Layers palette, lock the text layer. Unlock the grunge overlay layer and click on it once to make it the active layer. In the Swedish Points Freebies file, open Ginormous Grunge Stains 4.0. Copy the stain and paste it into the main layout. At the top of the artboard, increase the width to 6 inches. In the color palette, change the CMYK value to 15% black. Position it so it covers the top section of the N and I in Big Nicks. Hold Option, click on the stain and drag down to make a copy. Rotate the copy using the corner handles. Really any direction at any amount. We just want to keep it from looking like an exact copy of the stain above it. I went about -60 degrees. Position it over the end of the word parlour. Drag out a copy of the second stain by holding Option while clicking and dragging to the left. Rotate again. This time I went about -170 degrees. Position over the bottom section of big and covering part of tattoo. Now hold Shift and use your selection tool to select all 3 stains. Press Command G to group them together. Open your transparency palette and change the blending mode to multiply. And we're done! We have a killer tattoo shop poster with loads of illustrated elements and grungy touches. Whether it's your outcome for this tutorial or something new, head over to our Facebook page and share it with us. Let us know what you think in the comments below and give us a thumbs up if you like the tutorial. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/designcuts to get more video tutorials and regular updates, or visit us at designcuts.com. Thanks for watching. Till next time.